Max Verstappen may have just cracked the Red Bull code, and he's not sticking around to fix it. With one foot already in Mercedes' glittering hallway and the other dragging through Red Bull's fading shadow, the writing on the wall is growing bolder by the lap. The reigning world champion is plotting his exit. Once the unshakable pillar of Red Bull racing, Verstappen now looks more like a man counting down his final races. After the nightmare in Austria, where Red Bull left empty-handed and exposed, the message from behind the scenes is deafening. Max has had enough. No longer the fiery leader driving the team forward. Insiders say he's going through the motions, coldly ticking contractual boxes rather than chasing legacy in Milton Keynes red and blue. The paddock is buzzing with more than speculation. This is now a calculated shift in allegiance. While Red Bull maintains their usual PR poker face, those close to the team say Verstappen's patience ran dry months ago. Austria was just the final straw. A circuit they once owned turned into a battlefield of frustration and silence, where Verstappen's presence felt more like a farewell tour than a title defense. Max Verstappen's potential departure from Red Bull has nothing to do with ego clashes or PR friction. The truth cuts deeper. It's engineering, and more precisely, the absence of the man who once made the impossible look routine, Adrian Newey. Since Newey's exit, Red Bull's technical foundation has begun to crumble. What was once a fortress of aerodynamic brilliance now resembles a wobbly Jenga tower teetering on the edge. Without Newey's guiding hand, Red Bull has lost its technical soul. The car lacks direction, the upgrades lack purpose, and the performance graph is heading in the wrong direction. Verstappen, a master at reading the long game, sees exactly where this is headed, and he doesn't like the view. The RB21, in his eyes, is no longer a championship weapon. It's been leapfrogged by McLaren, Ferrari, and now even Mercedes. For a driver used to domination, that's unacceptable. Sources inside the paddock describe the Red Bull garage as tense, colder than usual, a team searching for answers it no longer has. Verstappen, always clinical in his assessments, appears to have already made one. The championship window has closed, and when that happens in Formula One, the only question left is when, not if, the exit door swings open. And then there's Mercedes, quietly waiting, strategically watching. For all the speculation swirling around Max Verstappen's future, one constant remains: Toto Wolff's admiration for the reigning champion. It's not a new development, nor is it just about performance figures or contract dollars, though Mercedes can effortlessly meet Verstappen's $45 million annual demands. This is personal, this is political, this is calculated. Jos Verstappen, Max's father and longtime consigliere, shares a notably warm relationship with Wolff, a connection that carries more weight than most people realise. Behind closed doors, their conversations have always been more than polite chit-chat. There's mutual trust, mutual vision, and perhaps a mutual goal. Of course, Wolff knows exactly what he'd be getting into by pairing Verstappen with George Russell. Two alpha drivers under one roof is a gamble, but one that could pay off spectacularly. With McLaren surging and Ferrari waking from their slumber, Mercedes needs firepower, not one ace, two. And Max is the missing piece on Wolff's chessboard. Of course, Mercedes knows a thing or two about volatile driver duos. The Hamilton-Rosberg saga still echoes through the halls of Brackley like a cautionary tale told at team-building retreats. And yet, Toto Wolff has already quipped that nothing could ever be as bad as that, which either suggests supreme confidence or unresolved trauma. Maybe both. Still, he understands the stakes: risk versus reward. With Red Bull slipping and McLaren rising like a well-oiled guillotine, landing Verstappen isn't about indulgence, it's about survival. And Red Bull, they're not exactly sitting still. In a classic case of if you're taking ours, we're taking yours, Christian Horner is reportedly sniffing around George Russell. The goal is poetic: tempt Russell into abandoning ship just as Verstappen boards it, turning a driver swap into a power play. A neat little game of musical cockpits with the sport's biggest names scrambling for the last seat before the music stops. Horner, it said, has already initiated talks with Russell. Nothing concrete yet. But where there's smoke, there's usually a contract clause being studied in microscopic detail. If Max does walk out the Red Bull door, the team faces a harsh reality. Do they promote from within, throw Yuki Tsunoda or rookie Isaac Hadjar into the deep end? Or do they fish in an already overfished driver market? Because here's the real kicker. No one out there brings what Verstappen does. That insane blend of consistency and cold-blooded competitiveness isn't exactly available on the open market. And Red Bull, for all their resources, may soon find themselves hunting for a unicorn they let slip away. The million-dollar question: can Max Verstappen actually walk away from his Red Bull contract, which supposedly locks him in until 2020? 2028. In short, yes. And no, it doesn't require a legal circus or some Monaco-based courtroom drama. Verstappen's deal, like most elite driver contracts these days, comes with performance-based exit clauses, those convenient golden parachutes built precisely for moments like this. And with Red Bull sliding down to fourth in the constructors' standings and Verstappen adrift in the drivers' championship, those escape triggers are starting to look very reachable. At this point, the only thing slowing down a Verstappen to Mercedes switch might be the ticking clock to the summer break. While Max contemplates his next throne, chaos brews within Red Bull's junior empire. The Racing Bulls are quietly sharpening their succession plan. Isaac Hadjar is emerging as a serious contender to replace the increasingly erratic Yuki Tsunoda. Tsunoda remains an enigma, flashes of brilliance drowned out by lapses in composure. Red Bull can only tolerate that kind of volatility for so long. Hadjar, by contrast, has made the most of his limited time in the spotlight, showing the kind of poise that hints at a future main team promotion, assuming, of course, the Red Bull driver ladder isn't left in ruins once this game of musical thrones plays out. One thing is certain, Verstappen holds the cards now, and with those clauses lining up just right, the door out of Milton Keynes is open. All that's left is for Max to walk through it. While headlines remain glued to the Red Bull-Mercedes power struggle, the championship itself has quietly packed its bags and moved on. The title fight, it's not Verstappen's anymore. He said as much himself. That battle now lives in Papaya Orange, where Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris have become the new rulers of the grid. One's the quiet assassin, the other the crowd favourite. Together, they've turned the 2025 season into a McLaren civil war. And so far, the balance tips ever so slightly toward Piastri, the model of consistency in a world obsessed with spectacle. For Verstappen, the heartbreak hit hardest where it was meant to inspire. Spielberg, Red Bull's sanctuary, their fortress in the Styrian hills. And yet, they left Austria with nothing, 0 points, not even a whisper of redemption. For a team that once turned domination into routine, this was more than defeat, it was symbolic collapse. And Max felt it. You don't win 4 world titles and stick around for sentiment. That's not who he is. Red Bull isn't falling apart overnight, but the decline is happening. Quietly, relentlessly, no explosion, just the soft creak of a once mighty empire beginning to buckle. Verstappen, he's mentally moved on. His feet may still be in the paddock, but his future is elsewhere. Toto Wolff is circling like a hawk. George Russell is suddenly glancing over his shoulder. And somewhere in the shadows, Sebastian Vettel watches it all unfold. Because why not add one more twist to this already chaotic tale? The champagne has run dry in Milton Keynes. What lies ahead isn't another victory parade. It's a rebuild, a reckoning. And unless something miraculous happens, they'll be doing it without the one man who once made them untouchable. Max Verstappen isn't halfway out the door anymore. He's already through it, leaving Red Bull to face the silence he's leaving behind. Do you think Max Verstappen has already made up his mind? And if so, is Mercedes really the right move? Or is Red Bull still fixable if they act fast enough? Let us know in the comments. Until next time, goodbye for now.